So I've pretty much done about what I can do on the face right now without letting it dry quite a bit more. So as it dries, I'm going to move up to this antler, and I'm doing the one that's further behind first. That's because when I do the one that's on top, it will obliterate the edge lines a bit where they overlap. And so I'm even deliberately causing my paint to go just a little bit outside of the lines where it overlaps with that other antler. That way, when I bring the coffee down again for the other antler, it'll create a really crisp edge that something happens when the pigments overlap wet, where it wants to really just obliterate the old lines and reincorporate that pigment underneath into the new one. So, for example, as I fixed the mouth just now, I just put some wet coffee on top, and what that's going to do is create a sharp line again at the edge of the upper lip, and all of that old pigment will just reincorporate into the dried lip color momentarily. And so as that top antler continues to dry, I'm able to work with some of the dry areas on the face. I'm putting in the eyelashes as it's more like applying eyeliner, where I'm making sort of a solid line around the edge of the eyes and extending it just a bit beyond to show where the eyelashes would be, and adding in also some darker pigment to the iris itself as needed. But I'm really happy overall with the way these eyes are turning out. I think that the condensed pigment in this 5 milliliter container really has caused a beautiful sheen to those eyes and is going to look lovely in the finished product. I can add in a couple individual hairs in the eyebrow that I wasn't able to make distinct before, and that looks like that's going to work really well. And then I'm just going to go around the face and add areas that need a little bit more darkening as that upper antler dries. And those, some people can tell by the antlers whether it's a caribou or a reindeer. I have a hard time with that, but those are specifically caribou antlers. The image that I was using as a model had the long, sort of elegant legs of a caribou as opposed to the stockier build of a reindeer. And that's the best that I can tell them apart anyway. So I think it's a caribou in that reference. And then I'm going ahead and putting a lot of wet coffee down here on these antlers, and that's doing two things. It's making it so that the places where the antlers overlap, that upper antler is really going to look like it's in front because it'll have those very crisp edge lines. And then the other thing it's going to do is create a bit of a marbled appearance to the texture of the antlers. And as it dries, you'll be able to see some different areas where the color varies a bit, even with the pigment having collected mostly to the edges. That's hopefully going to let me get away without too much shading on the antlers, but I'll add in some striations as a extra detail in order to let them look a little bit more like they could really belong to an animal. But that's about what we've got today, and I'm going to let this dry, and tomorrow when I come back I'll be able to do that caribou body and maybe the ruff around the face in order to prepare for the hair. Thank you.